Hello, everybody. I should be back on YouTube. I'm going to try to upload this later to YouTube. I'm out on the road, and so got some exciting news. If you've ever thought about it, if you've ever been on the scanner listening, and would like to throw your hat in the ring for getting your technician license. Exciting news. There will be a class starting after the first of the year. That's kind of where I wanted the general to start, but since I already got it, it has been changed to the technician. So if you want to learn, and take an exam on the basic stuff, I would say, just to get your entry-level ticket to getting on the air, and then this is the class for you, starting January 5th. I believe at 6 p.m. Once it's been uploaded to our website, then you can just go. The website is just not for the members. You can go look at it just the same as I can. You can poke around it just the same as I can. I believe you can even make comments to posts by our club president, just like I can. So technician, So technician is going to be your entry-level license for the exciting world of amateur radio. I got a little band chart. I believe that you have these operating privileges mostly. The only thing it doesn't show on here is the little part of the 10 meter band that you will have. So you will basically get 70 centimeter, which is up in the 400 range. That's also where, your little FRSs and your buddy radios and your GMRS frequencies hang out in some part of that band. Man, I can hardly read this. This is blurry. So you'll also get a big part from 222 to 225 of the 1.25 meter band. And guess what, guys? There's a repeater here in Warren that runs on the 1.25 band, and that is the N8 DOD repeater. I'm not sure where that is located. I used to think it was on top of Trumbull Memorial Hospital, but I don't think that's entirely accurate. I know the club has their repeater on top of the hospital, and that's where you'll basically be able to hit if you live within a 2-mile radius of downtown Warren. You'll be able to hit that repeater. So you'll also get that will be in the 2 meter. You also get part of the 6 meter. Well, I think pretty much all of it, because I think other than the 50 megahertz amateur, I believe that's an amateur extra restricted part. Every band seems to have an extra restricted part, and the reason why it's restricted is because it's for Morse code only. You'll hear the term CW used for that, but just to keep it simple, CW is Morse code. It's called continuous wave. It's not really continuous. It's either on or off. If you've ever heard Morse code, if you've ever listened to our repeater on Broadcastify, you'll hear the station identify itself every 10 minutes in phone mode and in CW mode after that. And then it'll tell you the time, which hasn't been set in a little bit. So it might tell you good morning in the afternoon. It might tell you good evening in the morning. You just never know. Just with the amount of activities that we have going on around the club, and the fact that our club president has a job. He hasn't, like the rest of us, he has a job. He hasn't got up to the site to see what's going on with the clock, so just bear with it. it happens. When I first got on, I used to think that the repeater was saying good morning or good evening to just me. It's easy to think that. So technician, huh? You guys want to be technicians, and that's the part where all of us have to start. Just to let you know, I got my first technician grant in 2018 because I wanted to do Skywarn. But once you get into it, you figure out there's a lot more going on. I apologize for the sinuses. It's with the warmer and colder weather, it's messing with my sinuses. So I became a technician in 2018. According to my FCC record, that was October 2nd. That is not correct. That was the day I was granted my Ham Vanity, my HV, because I hated my systematic call sign. My systematic call sign happened to be Kilo Echo 8, Kilo India Golf, and I hated it, so I changed it. And, as technicians, you can change yours too. However, I believe after the first of the year, which is when we'll be doing the technician, if you don't like your systematic and you want to change it, then it'll be another $35. So questions, on your exam, and there'll be 35 multiple choice questions, of which you'll have to get 26 right in order to get your technician license. And that basically gives you some basic operation across town. If you decide that you want to maybe still communicate across town with repeaters and the like, there's 2 or 3 or maybe 4 2-meter repeaters. I can point to 3 that I know of, and 2 of them are operated by the amateur radio club I'm in, and the other one is operated, well, I believe it's 4 because they got a 1.25 meter and they got a 70 centimeter repeater that you can hit if you live in the city proper of Warren. I've hit the repeater from the north end, as many of you all you scanner lurkers may have heard us last night with the Santa net, and I was able to move my station 1.5 miles up the road away from the repeater and still hit it with a handheld. Handheld radios are basically, you won't be able to do anything funky like DXing or none of that, but the important thing is technicians, you won't have access to those bands where you can do that. You will have those at General, which I just obtained. So according to my FCC record as of today, I'm still listed as a technician. So I don't have to wait for the grant to come in to start operating. I just don't have a radio to operate on. So ham cram. So what you'll be learning, and it's a question pool of like 400 and some odd questions. Only 35 will appear on the test, but it will represent the sub-elements that you will use the most, like bands, power ratings, general operating procedures, ham etiquette that we all adhere to, which is just common amateur practice. And you'll learn all those. And basically, get a study guide, take notes in the class. Anything in red could possibly be on the exam. Not necessarily that it will be on the exam, but you will have to learn all questions in the pool because you never know which one. but there's a breakdown. So, for example, the amateur extra class I just took and got my general privileges with, there's 14. I like to use this as an example because it's still fresh in my mind from class. We'll take 14 questions in the first sub-element of the amateur extra. There are 14 possible questions. You guys don't have to worry about seeing it. You're only becoming text. But the point to make here is, since this is fresh in my mind, there are 14 questions in the first sub-element of the amateur extra pool, and I'm using it for illustration. I'll find out more later and make another video about the technician. But for example, the amateur extra first sub-element has 14 possible questions and only one will appear on the test. You don't know which one will be on the test. Just know, so you gotta really make sure you're good with all 14 questions and the proper answers and what, and it always helps to know why it's the correct answer. So, for example, on the amateur extra exam, again, I'm using it as illustration, there will be a question about when someone calls CQ on a sideband and whether you can return that conversation or not. And basically, you'll have 4 answers. 2 of them will say yes, 2 of them will say no. But the no, even though no is correct, it'll have a reason. And a yes will say, for example, yes, you could return it because the other station initiated it, which is incorrect. Or the other one may say yes because that's part of your band plan or whatever, which both answers are incorrect. You're going to see that on the technician exam, where you're going to have to pick from multiple choices. Now, here's where they try to trip you up on these exams. One answer will be correct. One answer will be close to correct to try to trip you up, and the other 2 answers will be grotesquely wrong. So basically the thing is they'll just, a lot of test prep methods will say, well, eliminate the wrong answers from your mind and then just figure out which one of the 2 that could possibly be right will be the right one. No, you just, they say you got a 50-50 chance. That's wrong too. You should know the answer. The training method I did for mine was to show me the correct answer to the correct question, and the teaching method was to basically lock your eyes in on the correct answer and dismiss all the others. Again, I apologize for my sinuses. So you could still pass your technician exam and be a total doofus on when you actually get on the air. Fortunately, either myself or someone else will usher you in and give you little tips and tricks. There was 2 guys who helped me who were longtime hams my first day when I got on the air with Kilo Echo 8 Kilo India Golf, which was hard to say because you got KE8KIG. The E could sound like a C. They might think you're KC8. So I committed myself to learning the phonetic spelling of my call sign. And if you ever listen to a scanner, and I used to listen back before DMR Marks days when the local police would be on 2 meter and you could listen. We even had the tactical 2 channel for the police. The one when they say go to 2 and they think you can't hear them because their TAC 2 is unpublished. But there are people in the circle who maybe, scanner listeners who maybe just did a 2-meter scan every time they said go to 2, and they nailed down the correct frequency for 2. Again, I apologize for my sinuses. Ooh. Unreal. So 26 out of 35 will need to be right for you to pass. Now, here's the thing that is different from your upgrades. So when you upgrade, if you were to ever upgrade your tech someday to a general, you would have say you pass the general test, like I just did, then you have provisional operating capabilities while you're waiting on your grant to come in. And you would just append a certain thing to the end of your call sign, because believe me, on QRZ I've been looked up almost 600 times. Now only maybe, 15, 20 of those were me while checking to see if my new grant came in. So 15, 20 of those lookups have been me. So 565 other people, or the same people, looked me up because they heard me on the air, maybe on DMR or something. And DMR is my window to the world because I don't have the ability to put up a big antenna outside because I rent. I've been thinking about ways to stealthily hide it so the landlord can't see it whenever she comes to town. So I'm thinking of putting it on the side of the building that very few people walk through, and they would have to get a crick in their neck to see it. I'm thinking of mounting a J-pole out right outside my window, maybe with an offset. But you guys don't have to worry about that yet, because you'll only be, you can operate on a rig like that if you can find one with 2 meters and 70 centimeters, which will be your basic operating ground. You're gonna spend probably 92% of your time as a technician on 2 meter, because guess what? There's a repeater in town. And if you have a handheld radio, you're going to need that repeater to be heard. I pretty much camp on it as a general when I'm local because I'm still on a handheld radio. My tech radio, as I call it, because I bought it while I was still a tech, not even thinking about making an upgrade to general. And I'll still use that radio. You guys saw it in my videos on Facebook yesterday. My little Anytone 878 version 1. Which is a good little all-around radio, but it's not entry-level priced. It cost me $300 plus shipping, because it's a DMR radio too, so it allows me to use my hotspot and talk on DMR, which is always fun. Which you'll be able to do as a technician, because I use my DMR radio uses the 70 centimeter band, because that's all my basic hotspot will do, but you guys ain't ready for that. You guys won't be ready for that. Now, I'm trying to teach some of it, but I gotta get with the guy who's running the class to see if I can teach some of it. Teach all you fine folks the finer points of being a technician and what it'll mean to you. I listened on a scanner for close to 30 years, probably. A little like mid-20s before I got my first license. So you'll learn some things, you'll hear some other people operate, and I was doing it in the day where there was no Broadcastify you could get on your phone and listen. You actually had to have a scanner to hear. And then there's other things you could get involved with, such as Skywarn, which we do during severe weather events, and we do tornado spotting and stuff like that. So you could get involved with that, or maybe, I don't know. We seem to have our net control operators for Wednesday night net nailed down, and you got to be pretty good and keep records of the station IDs that check into net, so you know where you're going. After everybody's checked in, we'll go back to the top. But technician is fun. It has helped me make contacts all over the world. I know that sounds kind of stupid that I've talked to people all over the world with a technician license, but with DMR you can. It uses your internet connection. I don't need anything more than a little antenna to hit my hotspot, which sits right next to me, and that connects to my internet, which will connect to the Brandmeister network and allow networking of other hams using DMR. And there's other modes that you can use as a technician. D-Star, Yaesu System Fusion. There's a couple others, P25, which I've never used, but I hear a lot of hams talking about. FT8, which I think is something different that I never really explored what it is or how you use it, but DMR I have, and I'm fairly good with DMR. I can tune different talk groups, I can listen. With a hotspot, you just gotta chunk your way into a talk group if you want to hear it, because let's just say I'm listening to the USA nationwide frequency and I want to jump to the worldwide. I just can't tune over to it and expect my hotspot to hit me with it. I have to chunk in to let the hotspot know, hey, I'm switching groups. Or you could just disconnect. Sometimes, you can go to talk group 4000, and if your hotspot's not busy with some other traffic, you could chunk into that talk group and disconnect all other talk groups from your radio. But maybe after you guys are all technicians, maybe I'll do a DMR one, and I promise I won't be confusing as that guy I sat through a seminar with, who left me more confused about DMR than I was when I came in. So maybe I could get something going with DMR. There's another DMR expert in my club. Maybe I could find him, and maybe we could do a class together teaching all you fine folks about digital mobile radio, which is different than, say, digital packet or something like that our vice president uses. Those digital modes, but they're not DMR. They're done over a regular radio, and you're just basically sending data over the airwaves, pretty much like DMR, but with no network connection, and basically it gets encoded and decoded by the other computer. Field Day coming up January 29th and 30th. I will be there. I am a general. So if you don't have a license, you want to play around, see if this is for you. One of our fine station controllers like myself or someone else, if you want to get your feet wet in the extra bands. But a good start would be to maybe saddle up with me. But when I'm not being a station controller, I'm going to be working 2 meters that day too for this other contesting. I'm going to just find simplex stations around and see if I can get them logged, and then add them to my QRZ logbook when I can. I'll just log on paper know, I need to keep a station logbook. You all will need to keep a station logbook. The likelihood of the FCC ever coming to you and wanting to inspect your logbook are slim, but they do exist. So you always got to make sure you're operating properly, so you don't attract the men in black to come down to your house. And believe me, they will know where you live. I read a story on QRZ or ARRL or something about this amateur license holder broadcasting, which is strictly forbidden in our hobby. You're not allowed to broadcast, which basically means ties up a frequency and keeps the antenna hot and the transmitter hot all the time, so nobody else could get in. I think he was in the United States, and when the FCC caught up to him, he got a revocation, which means, hey, no radio license ever again, like the Soup Nazi. No license for you. And that's the way it was. And they confiscated all the equipment, which I don't know about what this person may have had in their station equipment, but I got quite a bit of money for me tied up in my station equipment. Some of it was cheaper, some of it was more expensive. You know, and I can only think if the FCC would come into my humble abode and confiscate all my equipment. There are some radios I don't even care about, but there are others with other pieces of ancillary hardware that I got quite a bit tied up in and wouldn't want to lose. So we're running out of time here for the old YouTube before we get chopped onto a new video, which my phone does at 30 minutes. But January 5th, the Scope Senior Center, if you're in a general area of, Northeast Ohio, and you want to come down, it'll go over a couple weeks with testing on the 19th of January. And if Wes allows me to teach, I will give you all you need to know about what might be on your exam. 26 out of 35. P.S. I got 30 right out of 35 on my general. And one less question that I got right on my tech, which I had 31 out of 35. But I walked in there like, I'm going to get every question right. No, you're not. So don't even start thinking about getting every question right. But if you could get to that mindset and mentality, you definitely will pass. I did. I didn't get them all right, but I got enough of them right that I passed. More than enough, like by 5 questions, 4 on my general to pass. So there you have it. Technician on January 5th. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. If you're in Cleveland, Alliance, Salem, whatever, and you want to get your technician here for in our class, come on down. You can leave in the comments where you're coming from. I'll give you the address. It's no big secret. Scope Senior Center, 375 North Park, Warren, Ohio. Have a great day.